Hi, my name is Daniel Martinez, and the goal I will talk about is the goal number 13, climate action. First of all, I will introduce what is climate action, then I will talk about the relation it has with other things like climate change. Then I will explain what is climate change. After that, I will more or less explain the three interviewed people I interview. Their perspective and thoughts about the questions I did to them. After that, I will kind of summarize and analyze and compare the three different perspectives they had and relate them or compare them. And at the end, I will answer a really brief question that is, how can testimonies that I collect motivate a change in me or in others? So let's start with what is climate change. Climate change is basically the stepped up efforts to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. This is the main goal that climate action targets, to reduce the greenhouse gas in the near future. Climate action is really related with climate change. Climate change is a problem that is affecting not only people, it's affecting every non-living and living thing on this planet. Climate change basically is harming our economies, people's lives, countries. It's affecting natural spaces, and basically everything around us depends and can be affected with climate change. This problem is not new to countries nor society. It all started, and experts agree with it and can agree with me, when the Industrial Revolution came to the world. The Industrial Revolution was a turning point with the greenhouse gas problems. The Industrial Revolution was the big step in many areas like agriculture, technology, transport, and many other things. These events were the causes of the increase on the greenhouse gases. You might think right now, what is a greenhouse gas? Greenhouse gases are basically the main cause of global warming. Greenhouse gases, are better called the greenhouse effect, is the natural process by which the atmosphere retains a little part of the heat that the sun emits. This process allows Earth to maintain the necessary conditions to maintain stable. Without this process, Earth's temperature will be approximately minus 18 degrees Celsius. That it's quite low. But the problem right now is not that natural process. The problem right now is our daily activities maximize exponentially the greenhouse gases that cause the greenhouse effect to be increased. This greenhouse gas can cause a lot of disasters like global temperature to increase, floods, hurricanes, wildfires, the rise of sea levels, and many other things. This is really catastrophic. And basically, this is climate change that is related with climate action. Right now, I will go to and explain the three people I interviewed. I basically interviewed three different people: an elder woman, a kid, and a politician. The reason I interviewed those three people was because first, the other woman has been living more in comparison to us, and basically she's a witness of all the changes the climate has passed by these years. The second, because he's basically the kid is basically the future of the world. A lot of people say, and I agree with that the kids are the future of the world, and they have in their hands a lot of responsibility that could change our future and the future of the world, obviously. And the third one, the politician, because it is known that the government plays a huge role in both good or bad ways about this problem called climate change. First, I interviewed Yvonne. She's the other woman. She started talking about the contamination and pollution and how pollution influences drastically on the environment. The interview started relating that contamination with the seasons. She stated that earlier in Monterey, the seasons had their respective climate depending on the season. Like, I don't know, let's give an example. In winter it was cold, in summer it was hot. She explained more or less. As the interview continued, I started noticing what were the main causes for her of pollution, the main causes for her of pollution, and also her thoughts on the topic. The interviewee related a lot of the contamination with the government. She kind of felt that responsibility of the government with the contamination. So she gave an example of how the government contaminates a lot in the place she lives. The relation she gave of government pollution for her was mainly the act of the postulation of the candidates. The problem, she said, that the problem is not the act of postulation but the propaganda used at the moment. For example, she said that the politicians use a lot of papers, carpets, and I don't know, a lot of propaganda in general that contaminated, and at the end of the day they didn't hire anyone to clean up their mess, and she was kind of mad for that. An interesting opinion Yvonne had related with the solution was the problem that the solution of the problem can be changed by being the change factor. So you need to be an example, she said. For her, it's truly important that giving the example. She says that the problem, if we are the example, could develop in a better direction. The second interview was to Santiago. Santiago is a little kid. After I interviewed him, I could notice that at the beginning he emphasized his surroundings in general, how his surroundings were like kind of dirty, how the sky looked gray, and how he thought that those factors affected, well, in general, the way he is living. Santiago mainly talked about how the streets were full with trash. And he also stated that this problem does not affect him directly, but the environment he lives in. As the interview passed by, he stated also that how the problem could get to a solution. The example he gave was by being the change factor, as he once said. More or less, Santiago told the same kind of phrases he once said. He said that working kind of grouply and being the example could generate a change in the city and influence a lot of people that want to have a better living condition. The third person I interviewed was the politician. She didn't want me to say her name, so I did it anonymously. The third and last interview, after analyzing it and comparing it to the previously mentioned interviews, I noticed how the interviewee mentioned that a reason why this problem existed and exists is related with something that Yvonne, the first interviewee, said, and it's because of the lack of knowledge a lot of people have regarding this topic. She thinks that as not knowing about this problem by consequence, well, it will have a negative effect. In general aspects speaking, the interviewee emphasized on the solutions more than on the negative effects this problem can cause, and also she wants to interpret this in a more positive way without blaming anyone else. After analyzing and comparing these really different perspectives and opinions about this topic, I got to a conclusion that the three of them are in total disagreement posture about climate change and contamination. What the three interviewed people agree with was that it exists a way to change our situation right now. The reasons they had in common were, the main reason they had in common was that the working together like a team. This could generate being a change factor and this could influence a lot of people in a way. As an individual, for me, who has his own way of thinking and doing things, making these type of interviews helped a lot in a way of opening my mind to new different points of view. And also these interviews are like a little piece of how our society works and thinks. So the third and last thing, it's the question: how can the testimonies that I collect motivate a change in me or in others? So for me, the three testimonies were essential in a way of gathering three different perspectives about the problem. This personally can make many people change the way they think or thought about climate change, for the simple reasons of how they told their different stories and perspective of their day-to-day life living with this phenomenon. And basically this is more or less all the explanation about climate change, the different perspectives of the three interviewed people, and kind of my personal conclusion. So thank you for listening.